Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. My name is Sean Stam. You are watching VSPEED YouTube channel. I am joined by the one, the only, Nick, up here in the booth. Nick, how are you doing on this fine, beautiful evening tonight?
I would much rather be where Daytona is here rather than where I'm at because it's currently raining outside and it looks beautiful over there. So can we just do a little swippity swap? Because I would much prefer the beautiful sunsets over the dark, bleary rain that I'm getting right now. Is that an okay thing that we can maybe have happen, Sean?
I think it is, man. Maybe with a little bit of a Moonshiners Racing League here tonight. Appreciate everybody for having us on board. This is going to be a great one to watch. If you do not already have your drink and maybe some snacks out ready, get it ready because you're not going to want to get up. So we take a look at this Google Earth shot Daytona Beach. And look at this 2.5 mile speedway at the long ponds there on that back stretch. Oh man, I'm shaking in anticipation. It cannot wait for this race to start. Take off here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful track. It's a beautiful place. 2.5 miles. I mean, what could be better than racing at one of the most storied tracks in the world? At the Daytona International Speedway is amazing. We're going to be racing on the tri-oval tonight, so all four corners. And with this NASCAR, you know, there's going to be a lot of wheel-to-wheel action here where you can see everything that is going to be happening for this season. We are just starting out this season for the Moonshiners Racing League. You can see us February 12th, 30 laps, the Daytona Duel just right there. Our next one's going to be on the 19th of this month. It's going to be the Daytona 300, so you're definitely going to stop in for that one as well. But we can't get to the Daytona 300 without first going through these duels, Sean.
Duels. You better be ready to duel here tonight, as Duel 1 going to represent that starting grid for that Daytona 300, and then Duel 2 going to show out, basically be qualifying for that outside row in the Daytona 300. Any more information that you have on that Daytona 300, Nick?
I do. So the two fastest laps in qualifying will be on the front row of the Daytona 300. Your finishing position in each heat, so there's two heats tonight of 30 laps apiece, and they have two tire sets that they can use in those heats. But the first heat, like you said, Sean, will determine the inside row, while the second heat will determine that outside row. Very reminiscent of how it actually works in the real world. There's also going to be points awarded for the top 10 finishers in each duel. So, of course, since there's points, there's penalties. We're going to want to see some clean racing tonight, as well as for the fastest lap in each heat, there is 1 point on award for the driver that can land that fastest lap. So we'll keep an eye out on who those fastest laps are, because those do matter in those points. And as the season goes on, every single point matters. You won't want to miss it.
Fast lap from Shane Wyatt, Matt Cox, got Kenny Capola, Paul Gallimore here rounding out that third and fourth spot. Randy Mullins, Johnny Shade, 5th, 6th. Got Shane Davis up here in that 79, and then none other than Brian Curry, that 8th spot. Rounding out 9th and 10th, Victor Pfluger, Chris Davis. A lot of familiar names that we see up here starting up towards the front of the pack. But I don't think there's any place that's safe in the grid here tonight, no matter if you're starting first or maybe halfway, second half of this field. Nick, you want to take over here, these names?
Yeah, so in 11th we have Brandon Bikey, and then in 12th we have Warren Young. And, you know, lots of great names coming out. Here, we're getting a little bit of a fast flip through here. We're now on the 13th and 14th positions. We have Corey Moore and Darren Mills, both having very close. These are all very tight timings, with Chad Sullivan following that up with Matt Mackin just behind them. You can see just the slimmest of margins. Sean Rogers, Caden Norfree as well. I mean, I haven't seen numbers like this in a long time when it comes to racing. Tim Wortman, Nigel Christensen as well. Going to be rounding out the 19th and 20th positions. Even in the back, it's still tight and anything can happen.
I think it's anything can happen, and it's also anything will happen here at the High Banks Daytona Speedway, or International Speedway. Especially, man, you got the lights on here tonight. That's just going to ramp up the anticipation even more between our drivers. And hopping on board with the leader now. Great fast lap times to put him on the pole, and then only a quick 30 lap heat this first heat. Then we're going to re-rack him back up, another 30 lap heat. This season kicking off to quite a tremendous start, especially if you joined us last week. I was back there producing things. I would just like to start off by apologizing on how things went on my behalf. But we are back here, VSPEED. We got things running smoothly, looks like. We got fans in the stands here, also in the YouTube chat, man. Go ahead, show yourself there, and man, we can give you a little shout out. Also, make some race picks. But Nick,
yeah.
I am, this is what we've been waiting for all of today. These drivers rounding outside of turn 4, that very high 30-degree banking coming back down to about 18 as we round that start-finish line. Pace car going to dive for safety here.
And as they approach this line, they're going to get the green flag. There they and we are off, and you can already see some jockeying for positioning happening through the middle of that pack, trying to see if there's any inclination that they can get quite around as we see bumper-to-bumper action through the first 3 cars as we enter this first embankment. The 27 up on the 79, who's up on the 77. That outer row really trying to push each other to go as fast as possible, where that inner row is taking a little bit more of a conservative position as we exit that first banking and come down that back stretch.
That did not take long for that top lane to get things moving, and then you see all those drivers move down to the bottom lane, not going to let anybody take that spot. Whoa, you got to be careful pushing within the corners here, boys. Lap 1 out of 30, but hey, can't forget, we are dueling here at Daytona.
We are absolutely dueling, getting through now, coming through this tri-oval area, just crossed into the second lap, and these cars are still tight as ever in this front. There's only 28 more laps to go, Sean, and so far it's still anybody's ballgame as this pack is so tight. You know, one little misstep can spell disaster for the entire thing, but as you can see, it is just getting tighter and tighter. The Toyota running up on the back here, as they would want us to think it's an Aston when really it's a Toyota Camry there, the Toyota stock car. But still, I love Astons, don't get me wrong, but that is clearly a Toyota, sir.
We're going to rounds lap 3, and yeah, that top lane has really fizzled out, kind of reminiscent within these next Gen 7 cars. And guys, if you're going to watch the Daytona 500 this weekend, be sure to kind of start to see this play a role early. I know we don't have to really care about fuel saving too much here tonight, but watch for that inside line to prevail the rest of tonight, Duel 2, and even up into that Daytona 300 and that real life 500. I know we have a few drivers actually taking a part in the iRacing Daytona 500, so we'd love to wish everybody there best of luck in their attempts in the fix and open series. But oh boy, these laps are going to continue to tick by pretty quick as we're already approaching lap 4. Still got Capalla out here in the lead, Davis right on his bite bumper, then Buick and Sullivan and Wortman. That's 83 in the top 5.
Yeah, and with Coppola in the front, you know, they're going to get that nice clean air that every car wants to get. But with the 79 and 27 just right on their bumper, they're not going to have too much dirty air to worry about. And that's why they're so close for that drafting. And it's so nice to see just some excellent, clean drafting happening. And it allows them to really stay on that pace of the leader without having to worry about, you know, catching some bad air or anything like that down in this inner row. But
how about that
outer
top
line
lane?
is starting to come up. Look at that 23 just really pushing past. 43 and 19 also on their bumper well, trying to see if they can't get a good run through that as well.
What a move by Shane Wyatt, able to kind of to get a massive push from that, looks like the 43 there of Fluger, and man, had the lead right at the start finish line, but now going to lose a bit of momentum down the back stretch. Can I stay on board with him here? And look at that momentum right back down. Gonna take the lead again, but man, side by side heading down in turn 3.
You can see that 77 there just doesn't quite have that outright pace on the back stretch, it looked like, and there was a significant loss of speed there that allowed that Wyatt's 23 car to just punch right past, and now there is a significant margin that they're going to have to make up in this corner spot. And you can already see it's happening again as there's just less track you have to run, but that 23 has about a car length until the 77 is now able to take them over in that inner and really bypass them there. We're gonna have to see how they're able to handle that speed coming off, if they're able to continue that or not. But what a shifting of events that was going on there.
What a shifting of events, and what a paint scheme that we see out of Davis. Still pushing our leader Kapala here. 77, 79 working really well together, and that's no threat of its own, man. You push just a little bit too much into the corners or even on corner exit, man, you can send that car in front of you around, and I mean, it's different within.
It's a fine art. For
exactly,
sure.
that's what it is. It's a fine art, and within each car as well, as we're gonna look 3 wide, a little bit further back in the back. Ooh, that may present a problem for the 84. Looks like the 42 was able to make it through out of there, no incident so far. The drivers still jockeying for position down the back stretch. That bottom line, though, there we go. There's the single file. I was waiting to see that a little bit earlier, but you hate to see this in real life Daytona. But when you're in the car and it's able to run this single file line, it makes you feel so much better.
It really does. It gets you some nice air, so you can get that bump draft going. These cars love to bump draft as it gives them that little extra speed without as much effort, and it allows you to save on gas. And that's the huge, like tonight we don't have to worry about that, but that bump drafting, helping you conserve that gas, allow you to go longer, is so useful to these drivers in these longer races that you see it so often because of that. But look at that beautiful single file coming through into turn 3 here. Great look.
That, man, oh, it takes some dedication from our drivers to be doing that, because, man, you get a run, and sure, you're going to want to make something out of that run, but right now, these drivers being content. Only lap 8 out of 30, while approaching lap 9 now. 77 still being pushed from that 79, and man, look at the spec map shine here from the lights of Daytona International Speedway. Man, Coppola, Davis, really nice paint schemes. That'll grab your eye as a spectator, and man, able to see that thing on top of the spotter stand. I wonder how many of these drivers here tonight have real life spotters available to them, and not just the iRacing kind of generic, he's there, clear, low. There's a huge difference between the two. You get, information on runs, you get information on who's working with who, so it's a totally different ball game if you have that available to you.
It really is. I'm taking a look at some of the timings right now, and they're running about a 45.5 second lap here. 45.678 was the last lap of Coppola here, and I mean just right behind it a 45.679 from Davis. So they are very tight on each other. As I mean, you can see it just here in the camera shot, just how close they are with these bump drafts. But just down the line, it's barely any difference between the drivers as you come through these corners. And because of that, it allows for some excellent shots of racing. But what matters is when the opportunity arises to make that run, are you actually going to be able to grab that bull by the horns, grab that steering wheel, and actually secure that position? Or are you just going to have to back off because you don't think you have the room? It's going to take a daring amount of bravery to make it happen, but one of these drivers is going to have to make a move between the 79 and the 27 to try to unseat Coppola in that first position.
Notice when you were talking about that, man, look at The driver of the 27, man, got the smiley face helmet, got a Dodge
that helmet.
Viper NASCAR. Man, loving what I'm seeing out of the 27 camp. I know it's a little bit early, but the 27 might be my one to watch here.
Yeah, they've had really good runs throughout, really making sure to stay on the back of that 79, and you can tell they're looking for a spot to make a move. It just hasn't presented itself yet, but there is going to be an opportunity. Sometimes one doesn't present itself, and you have to make that move yourself. You have to open that door and sometimes create the door yourself. So we'll have to see what they decide to do when they decide to make their move as we're approaching the halfway mark in this 30-lap duel right now. These times are tight. It's going to be up to making that move soon if you want to secure it, as we do have one car
like
outside of that line, but you can see they're just losing so much time by not getting that bump draft.
Sean Rogers, or is that the red car here? You have to excuse me, my first night putting some paint schemes to some names, but yeah, it is Sean Rogers, that beast mode spec mapped red 44. Not what he was looking for when he poked out a line there, thought somebody would go with him, and then it just didn't happen, but able to fall back in line, not lose the draft from this front row, as you see the gap to Sean, and then Fluger right there behind the 43. It's over a second now, so that's going to result in the loss of the draft for Fluger and his train he's got behind him.
Yeah, and then with this second group, they're just chugging along. You know, it doesn't matter if you're coming in at the back end. All of it matters because this is going to lead up to the Daytona 300 and where you are placed on those lines. So, of course, right now we're doing for the inner part of the lineup, and the next heat we'll do the outer. But all of this matters as we have Barry Sanders currently in 14th, running 2 positions ahead of where they started in 16th. You know, every position matters, and that's just 2 positions up that you start the Daytona 300 from. So feeling good so far if you are Barry to make up those 2 positions, and looking to make up even more as you move along. You can see they're looking for those openings as they kind of peek their nose out and come right back in.
Also, you got to keep in mind that if you run just a little bit too long behind one of these next gens in front of you, you start running that engine a little bit too hot, not getting enough clean air to that nose of that Chevy Camaro, Ford Mustang, or Toyota Camry. And you have to poke out like that. Unfortunately, going to result in a little bit of loss of speed for the pack. But that's something to keep in mind also as we continue to approach the checkered flag of heat number 1. Got to keep those engine temperatures low here within the first 15-20 laps, so you have the kind of last 5-10 laps able to make a move. But now Barry Sanders going to step out, go to the back of the second pack that's formed up.
Yeah, looking to try to make a move there, but nothing quite happened. And actually, it looks like they dropped back a bit, unfortunately for them, as they were not able to make the move happen. Back down into 16th position for them. In the front, though, Kenny Coppola still holding on to that front position, with Shane in number 2 and Brandon Bikey in that 3rd slot. Just having a good, clean race up front. No one trying to make that position just yet, but you can see they are hunting. They are looking for it.
I was waiting for to get that name of the 27, Ikey. There we go. Man, don't hesitate to let us know if we got your name wrong, but I was going to let Nick get that first out of the way. And 27, man, putting on a strong run. It almost looks a little cloudy or foggy down here in Daytona, but we're going to keep this thing all rolling. Spotters getting the thumbs up from the stand. We're still getting thumbs up from all race officials down there too, so we're going to keep this thing going green. That top 4 still has yet to change, but nobody able to really get a run, unless the back of this front pack able to get something forming now. You see 3 cars in that outer line, led by, look like, the 23.
Yeah, absolutely. going too wide a little bit there with the 23 of Shane Wyatt running in 7th right now, seeing if they can't make something happen on that outside line, but not quite actually able to get the run that they're looking for. So going to be holding in that 7th position right now, not quite able to surpass that. Oh, they just now surpassed Mullins, sticking their nose in front as well. That 23, they're up into 5th position now. If they can't get another clean run, moving into 4th, they're going to try to pass up Bikey here potentially, but they're going to drop right back down into 5th. Sullivan able to hold their position for now. Moving into this slight embankment as we go through the start-finish line and back into 6th position. So really only netted 1 position there, but hey, every little step matters. As they just don't have that run that they need, it feels like.
Yeah, I saw some pretty aggressive side draft going on through the tri-oval, then able to... Whoa, we're getting a little squirrely down that bottom lane. But no other drivers jumping up with the 23, 19, and 44 just yet on this top side. They probably... Yeah, the gap is now 5.5 seconds, but you start to battling a little bit too hard on this outside. Got to be careful because that next pack can... come join this battle extremely fast, especially in these next-gen NASCAR's runs, really through the roof, especially get somebody like the 23, the 1944, all pushing you in a massive run there into turns 1 and 2. That top 1, 2, 3, 4 still yet to change.
Yeah, no, they're all looking good. And this is the clean, this is stock car racing at its finest, is, having these minor moments, and it's the skill of the drivers that really make the difference. As we can see a run happening on this 4th car here. Are they going to be able to actually secure it?
There you go, just inching up through the pack on that outside, getting towards the 27's rear quarter panel. Here we go. Here comes the outside.
This is the run.
This is what we've been waiting for. This is the run that
they're looking for. Is the 79 or the 27 going to look for it? 27 doesn't quite have the bumper space in order to latch on and potentially lead that pack to the front. Is actually they've dropped back quite a bit from that 79, but Coppola and Davis are still significantly in the lead enough that for Wyatt, they're not able to quite make that run up to first, but you can see this is what we want to see. We wanted to see someone, kind of step up and look to see if they can't make a move. And this is the time where it's going to be Davis and Wyatt looking to make that move. Well, Davis was losing position on it as I read the timing screen wrong there for a second, but just constant back and forth shuffling between that inside line and that outside line to see, can they make something stick and maybe slip into that inner position and hold on to it to the end of the race.
The ebbs and flows of super speedway racing. There's a song or something about that by Pearl Jam, Even Flow, I think. But man, we're seeing the ebbs and flows super speedway racing tonight. 44, that beast mode that's sitting up there, that 3rd spot in that outside line. Don't count any of these drivers in this outside line out just yet, because that momentum is there, and it's there with still 7 laps to go here in this first duel. This is going to be great to watch.
This is the moment that we were waiting for, and now that it's here, you just can't take your eyes off of it, as the Beast Mode 27 car of Bikey is just barely holding on to their position over Wyatt's 23. But Wyatt has a really good push here, and coming into, if they're able to hold the line, have a good run out of this corner, they might be able to secure it. Now, there isn't enough room, of course, for them to slide in, but if they can just hold on to it, it might spell good omens for them as they continue to go through.
I think you got to be starting to pick your buddy. All right, who works with me best here? Who's pushing best? Who's letting off my bumper in the corners? You see the 19 does exactly that. Drops about a car length or 2 off the 23's back bumper, but going to get that run right back down the back straightaway. Looks like we had to ground our aerial coverage due to fog in the area, making it safe on the pilots for him. But this is not going to diminish this battle for the lead, and just wait until we start to get a third lane going, maybe even 4 lanes. That 19 of Coffee able to move up into the 3rd spot now, take that momentum off the high line, make it work. Now these 23, 19, 44 are going to grab the lead from the bottom line.
And what a move that was. Now Wyatt's going to hold on to that position. The 77 of Coppola dropping into 4th as that outside line really has a good run now. With only 5 laps left to go, 77's working their way back up, back into 2nd, potentially even 1st with how they're closing that gap right now. Yep, there they go back into 1st, but this is anybody's race right now as we are coming down to the final laps of this heat. And it couldn't be any tighter, Sean.
It can't, man. You got to start testing out your runs. What is your car able to do, especially with who you've been able to work with? Oh, we got the 44 working with the 91. It is of Atwood here. Car's still trying to make the top side work, but that bottom lane, nose to tail, wrapping that apron. Lots of skill here, man. This is not your average unofficial or even hosted race, or even league race, I'll go as far as saying. Nobody hitting the apron. Looks like all these drivers moving up to the top side as we're going to get a little jiggy with it for the lead. The 77, the 79. It's contact between the 923.
Nothing happened though. Losing.
Oh, there we go.
One goes sideways, and that's a 27 that went sideways. Bikey is dropping down after getting spun, and there goes the 19 as well in the middle of the pack as they were trying to. It. Unfortunate timing for both of those as we now have caution with 5 laps to go.
Oh boy, this is going to completely change the ball game. As I see the 27 able to get his ship righted the right way. Oh, we're gonna have to take a couple looks at these replays brought to you by VSPEED here. Give us 1 second, going to get this all sorted, as that happened just all way too quickly.
It really did. Unfortunate for Bikey and for that 19 car that happened. Coffee was able to recover a lot easier, didn't drop as many positions as that caution came out. But as we take a look at this,
or try to,
it was really tight up on that wall. And yeah, the 23 just caught the bumper of the 27, had to then shift down because of how they were pulled, and that 27 just didn't have speed. The 19 caught the bumper, and it was just horrible from there. The 44 got caught up in it. So did the 63, the 8 as well. Just nobody almost got away through that unscathed as the 19 then got turned around by the 44. Who was hit earlier. The 19 just lost too much speed, and just unfortunate timings there.
Let's take another look at that replay here. Gonna try and slow this down a bit more for us, get another overhead shot. See, it kind of starts with the front of the pack, and then 23 gets into the 27 there, then it's just a chain reaction, guys.
Yeah, and this happens whenever you have such tight racing like this. If one car goes sideways, you're gonna catch 2, 3, or 4 on the back end, guaranteed. You just lose so much speed. As that 44 had to brake and turn to get out of the way, they went down into another car, and it was disaster from there. You can see even the 8 was caught up in it as well.
Yeah, heavy damage to the front of that. We'll call it a Dodge Viper. Actually showing Toyota Camry there, but these leaders able to get away from that kind of scathe-free. So we will jump back on live with our leaders now and see who's still running where. We got Coppola, Davis, Sullivan, and Wyatt, as well as Rogers was able to kind of make it through that little incident there. Well, that big boy incident. Atwood also able to make it through, but let's see if Atwood in that 91 actually has any damage or not. Doesn't really look like it on the left side, but man, the fog's getting pretty intense here.
Yeah, it really is. We're down to 3 laps, still under caution. So as these cars get lined up, I didn't read it anywhere, Sean. Maybe you know this. We're not going to end under caution, right? We're going to have at least 1 green flag to determine it.
Definitely so, and I have to check my notes here, but I know we definitely have 1 chance at a green-white checkered. League's big leagues like this, most of the time, if not, we'll pull that 3 green, white checkered flag out, or 3 chances at it. So, matter of fact, let's cut to commercial break real quick. We will be right back here on VSPEED, and maybe fill you in with a little bit of that information.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the World Center of Racing, where we have Kapala, that's 79, as well as, Kapala, the 77, as well as Davis, Shane Wyatt, Rogers, Sullivan, that top 5. All going to come down to 1, possibly 2, maybe even 3 chances at a green, white, checkered, or heat number 1. Who do you got, Nick? You got an early pick here.
Oh, it's going to be close. I mean, Davis is now on that outside line. We have Wyatt up into 3rd position in that 23 car. It's going to be close. If, you know, Davis gets a good run on Coppola, we could easily see Davis make it. Wyatt had a really good run up the outside, but now you can see that separation happening as Coppola just got a really good punch there on that. Now, with the 23 out on their lonesome, the 77 actually took the outside line this time.
Oh, now we're getting
that push, but now we have Sullivan.
The 33!
Dropping down.
Okay,
What
Sullivan's trying to make the inside
time.
work, and then, okay, if anybody can push, we know it's the 23. It's so foggy here, but stick with us. We got 2 to go. Outside line prevailing, but how long is that going to happen for? Is that inside line a little bit shorter way around the track? Kapala, Davis, Atwood still working together relatively well. 77 get a little bit loose there out of 4, but everybody able to keep this thing going as we now approach. Is this white flag? Come on, graphics. Okay, we're 2 to go. White flag. This race is official. Anything that happens will happen here at the high banks.
And you can see the run. The 79 trying to drop down, seeing if they can make something happen.
Ooh,
But the
check it out.
91 starting to have a good run with the 23 on their backside. Are they going to be able to pass the 77? We're just going to have to wait to see as they get down this back straight, heading up into that second embankment area. And just like that, they are almost.
Oh no,
into
the
that first
91
position.
goes
31
around.
It starts to hits the 30. They all go, and it's going to be the 77 and the 79 up front. The 54 managed to make it out of there unscathed. And now the 77 of Coppola is going to cross that finish line into this last lap. The 79 of Davis is right behind them as well.
Oh my
What
God.
a crazy time. Is now the 79 is looking to maybe make a play on the outside, but dropping
What
back
a
in to
move.
get that draft.
What a move. What a race, as that will make this thing official, man. Our results.
Was that official? Okay.
Yeah, the graphics kind of waited on us there coming out of turns
was.
1, but man, we will let's take a look at what happened there and how it happened. Sorry for okay, there we go. Congratulations. Oh my, let's take 1, 2,
What a
3,000
race
looks
at
at
the
this
end.
thing. Oh, the heat race 2 has already started up, so this is going to have to be relatively quick. Get a look at Nicholas Atwood's incident here. Oops. Sorry about that. But here we go. This is the last lap. Yep, Atwood's going around. This is coming into 3. No, it happens all so fast here. Take another look. Brought to you by VSPEED. All right, here we go again. This is heading down in turn 3 the last time by, and then we'll get to that slow-mo. Looks like 91 just getting turned from the back and then allowing Atwood, or the 2 leaders, get away from this scathe free, and then the big one happens at the end of Daytona Duel number 1.
What a crazy ending to this race.
If you think that was crazy, stick around for Duel number 2. It looks like we have already started rolling on the grid, I do believe. Yeah, here we go. That didn't take long at all.
We'll get that one loaded up. What now I'm
out of
pumped
breath
and excited for this second heat. I mean, crazy times.
It was, and yeah, I see these guys all getting warmed up here, ready to go. We got the Ryan Blaney paint scheme up in here. Looks like the driver of Nick King. Hey, that's a good name for him.
That is an excellent name. You can never pass up on the excellent name there.
Nick King looks like going to be starting in that 14th spot. So about a little bit towards the end of the grid, respectively. But oh my gosh, we might have to pull the our camera crew down from the top of the stands. I don't know if that's just on my end of things, but ooh, getting real foggy down here at Daytona Beach. Not sure if that's just the guys cooking up their good meals, their good dinners at the barbecue at the old infield there, or what's going on, but I think we are in for a treat this second heat.
Yeah, I mean, if anything like Heat 1, it's going to give us an insight into Heat 2. I can't wait for the ending to see how it all plays out, as now we are going to go for what the outside line of the Daytona 300 will look like. The safety car is getting these cars ready to go before we get set to go. John, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I was looking forward to introducing our Heat 2 drivers here, but it looks like these guys beat me to it. Safety car going to peel in for safety. Also, keep an eye on which lane is able to prevail here on the start, as we saw that top 4 or 5 kind of not change until the final 2 laps. Here we are, green for Daytona Duel number 2.
And you can see now the inside line, Cox here taking up first position with the 45. Shade in second, having a really good bump draft there. Really getting a good distance into the lead over that outside line, and that's going to help secure them, at least initially, some time to get some good bump drafts going. You can already see these lines starting to form. You said you were surprised that that single file didn't happen earlier in this race. We'll have to keep an eye on that to see if they make that happen any sooner than they did in the last race.
We will, and you see him coming through the tri-oval now, man. I don't know how these spotters are doing it tonight. Cox still out front. Shade, Davis, Mills, Matthews, that top 5. Don't count out Gallimore, that number 11, either.
Never count anybody out right now. We can see what happens, especially at the end of the race. You could be in the back, avoid everything, and end up 3rd, 4th, or 5th. So always try to stick in it, as King is back there in 17th position, just outside of the pack. But you never know what can happen. We're going to go 3 wide here through this turn, and that is always an interesting thing to happen.
That it is, man. We're able to get through it clean, though, riding on board with the one, the only Preston Purier right now, running 9th in that 99. After starting 13th, already up a few spots, just gonna run, make that bottom lane work. That's where I always love to be, man. That bottom lane, you are able to, that's your way out. If something happens right now, you can cut down low and hopefully be able to miss the wreck. But I believe these drivers do have, did you mention earlier, Nick, one fast repair available to them tonight?
I did not see anything like that.
That's on me. God. Okay, if these drivers are listening to the broadcast, their ears probably just lit up, and then you confirming me there, so that we do not. So definitely, that's why I think we see these guys so careful too. Only in 30 lap heats, but able to wait until the very end to end up making a move. And Preston, I think that's my one to watch early on here. Daytona duel number 2, moving up even more spots that bottom lane now. That 4th car, that bottom inside row.
Yeah, everything's looking good so far. Good, clean racing. As it's going to be between Davis and Shade. Shade actually on that upper line, able to take first position as Davis takes it right back. But things are oh so very tight between these two racers. As right now, the outside line is winning out by the slimmest of margins. But as we get down into this, you can see that inside line dropping back. But in these turns, they're able to pick it back up because there's just less track that they have to cover in that same amount of time. So gonna keep an eye on that, see how everything decides to play out. See when we get into that single file racing, as we're only 5 laps in. That didn't happen till about lap 12 to 15.
Look at
Long
the
time to
outside
go
line.
before heat 1, but outside line is just running rampant with the speed right now.
That thing prevailed and prevailed quick. The 74, the 5, even the 11 and 25 of Curry. It really able to gap that bottom line, and isn't that opposite of what we just saw in the first heat? Now this outside line making it work.
Yeah, no, they're looking great right now. As you can see, the shifting is starting to happen. Is now all the cars
here we
trying
go
to
now.
wild with the 74 dropping down a bit, seeing if he can't get the entire line to follow him, but not quite able to make that happen as the 45 hops up into that upper line. But they tried to single file it, didn't quite work out there, but you can see it's on their mind as they're wanting to make it happen soon.
Here we go, back down to the bottom of the track. Does most cars go? And Nick, this is chess at just about 200 miles an hour. You try and make a move, or if you got the 5 up there, who's maybe gonna throw a block on Gallimore, or even Wilson, excuse me, coming down the bottom lane here, but not going to happen. Bottom lane surges right back up. We're gonna get 2 by 2 heading into NASCAR turn 1.
Now all we need to do is put a table between these cars, strapped to both cars, so you can actually start playing chess, right? Like that's the next evolution of this. Is that what I'm hearing properly?
I think that is the next step. Especially, as we're still getting moves down the back stretch.
Okay.
Might as well. I think you nailed it, man.
You know, you gotta have some fun while you're driving at 200 miles an hour. Gotta add a little bit of difficulty to this, as this number 18 Tilly's Toyota Camry going to be very comfortably in the lead with that bump draft right behind them of the 35 that's really pushing them forward. Such tight margins that we're working with here.
And driver of the day so far for Blaine Wilson after starting 15th, leading now. Matter of fact, just led that lap last time by, getting a great push from Norfrey there. Going to have to keep this up as we approach halfway to go in this second duel. Is now things getting side by side once again.
I mean, this is the beauty of Daytona, is it is anybody's race. And this is why just because you're on the outside or the inside doesn't guarantee you the ability to hold on to first position, because if somebody gets a good run through some of those corners on either line, they can very easily pass you up. But as we get into it, side-by-side racing, as the 45 overtakes the 18, Wilson dropping into second for just a couple of seconds before shooting back up into first. Now has about a car length over that of 45, but it's going to come right back down to even here as the 45 Shades still, gunning for that first position, just barely a car length behind.
You're gonna have to be careful with getting clean air to front nose of these NASCARs as laps continue to tick off here. Can't get too hot too early. As kind of maybe the opposite is what you'd hear in some other sports, but no, man, you got to be careful with those engine temps. And look at who we got now, the 4th running spot. My one to watch early on, Preston up here, the 99. Bright, vibrant blue rims on that Exide Ford Mustang. Looking to take the 3rd spot away now is, looks like Northfry for some reason. Oh, that's why. He's a Northfry time-traveling man. Saw 2 cars approaching that outside line before I did. We're going to be side by side again.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is just gunning for these times now. As we get through here, you know, we're 10 laps in, still haven't gotten into that single file racing because these inside outline chess duels are happening so often. Nobody wants to just sit idly by and wait for that opening. They're opening that door themselves to make that happen.
You are just now joining us. Take a seat. You're going to want to need it because, oh boy, it might the finish of this thing might knock you off the edge of your feet. Man, this is Nick, Sean up here at VSPEED bringing you Daytona Duels. You missed that first heat. Go ahead, rewind it. We got you here. We'll be here for the next 19 laps as we are still side by side, getting way more side by side than what we saw into that first heat. And we only have just a 4-second gap between Mills and Shade, where that second group, well, I call it a group. It's only one car who's lost the draft now. A couple cars behind him as well. But
I mean, and this 45 was going for 2nd place.
Yeah, we were right on board with him.
It seems like they got out of line and just lost everything, unfortunately. So now they're in 13th position, looking to see if they can't catch back up to this group and this draft. But for now, it's going to be that Exide car. You can see they're dropping back a little bit. There's some space there for a car if they want to dive in, but nobody taking that opportunity as they are right back up on that bumper. But this 18 of Wilson,
he was squirrely out of 4 there, man.
He was very squirrely. Took a lot of speed out of that corner.
Yeah, Cox, matter of fact, brought him back up to the lead because the 35 just not able to stay on the back bumper there on exit of 4. But here we go, a push into the turn. Got to be careful with this, as that most often than not always results in a disaster. These guys able to keep it going, and that 99 of Preston moving now up to P3, that bottom lane. What a run, man. Nice work, Preston.
What a beautiful run. And that's going to really push them way out into the lead. You can see now there's no one really challenging for first besides the bump drafter of Northray there. So going to have to keep an eye on that and see if there's going to be moving into this single files. It seems like that's what we're finally looking to do on lap 14, but not quite happening just yet as we are too wide entering. Maybe this outside line is once again going to be looking for this opportunity.
Look at the speed that they have.
That's blocked as they do actually touch that outside barrier.
Saw sparks fly there out of the 5, I think that was, and the momentum of that high line. Whoa, they look 10, 20 miles an hour faster than the bottom. Now the high line going to pass on the bottom again.
They just swapped positions.
Yeah, big time. What a move out of the 11. We see you, Gallimore, as well as Davis pushing him, man. Excellent teamwork out of those two.
Yeah. Now with Davis in 2nd, Wilson in 3rd, it pushed the number 18, up into 2nd now as they still have their bump drafter on their back end as well. But now they're on the outside line, and it is just bumper to bumper racing in this heat too. We thought they were going to go single file. No, ladies and gentlemen, we are still with this wheel to wheel action.
Not going to want to miss a thing as we are just halfway to go. Coming to 14 more laps here at International Speedway, at Daytona International Speedway, excuse me. Gallimore able to get that lead and keeping it as we are still 2 trains side by side heading down into turn 1. I don't think I've seen one car with an advantage over the other. It's just who you got there behind you. The runs that you're able to get is now Preston falls back quite a few car lengths there, but able to fall right back and gain those car lengths back on that 74 on the bottom. However, that high line is now starting to fly and fly fast with Wilson still leading it. However, there comes the bottom line back into this thing. It just doesn't end.
They're just looking for any opportunity they can to unseat Wilson in this first place with the 35 in second.
my
And there's
gosh.
another run coming up from that inside line. Young coming into second now, but not actually able to quite seal the deal as we enter into another corner. Both of these cars for Young and Wilson both being pushed. You can see the 28 is jumping into the party as well in third position, looking to push up on that 35, seeing if they can't make a run happen potentially. But man, what tight racing we have even in this second heat.
Even, you said it best, even within heat racing itself. Got to get with Moonshiners Racing League here if honestly, if they have even any more spots available to them. Wouldn't doubt every NASCAR guy's trying to get up in here. This is great, clean racing. Lots of show of sportsmanship going on here. But that might take away a little bit as we're going to fight for that outside row, the Daytona 300. This is fighting for that qualifying spot. Wilson, Joffrey, Cox, Curry, Young, still up out front. Haven't really seen that single file train show itself yet in heat number 2, Nick, have we?
No, we haven't at all. There was an opportunity for it to happen, but they just still sidled back into these two lines and are still trying to make a go of things, really trying to open these doors, make these opportunities stick. As now we see the 28 drop down into that inside line, trying to maybe use the 32 to get a little bit of a push going to maybe push past this 18, but not quite able to have that speed just yet, as Wilson just has a stranglehold over this first place still.
I think we got a case of a number set incorrectly, or maybe even on my end there, but that 23 I do believe is the 25 instead of Curry there, going out to the lead now that we're talking about him.
Wow, look at that, unseating Wilson for a little bit, about 100th of a second behind that of Curry here. The 28 car is really the 25, as that's always fun to now have to remember, but still looking good as they got that bump draft, they got that push through, and were able to secure that first position with about 11 laps now to go. But you can see the 18 of Wilson really having a good run up on that outside as we cross that finish line and go to the 20th lap. I mean, these times are tight.
Yeah, putting down the fastest lap of the session right now. Matter of fact, is we are now getting 2x2 for the lead. That 25 of Curry there trying to make the bottom work once again, but Wilson showing his speed, showing his teammate that he's got behind him there with Joffrey working with him. And there goes that orange number. I believe that was the 20, and then the 2 of Mills right there going to make that bottom line work. Oh, we're getting antsy here. Oh, God, there's going to be a wreck. Here we go.
We have a huge wreck. The 32 goes wide and it hits several other cars, and that is going to spell disaster for the 74 and the 20 and what looks to be the 99 as well. Unfortunate times for those cars that were just caught up in it, as now they try to rejoin the pack and see if they can't make something happen of that, as Mills has a solid piece of first position.
Let's see what happened. We'll watch it kind of unfold full time here. That 2 goes to the bottom, so this is when things start to check up here a little bit towards the back of the pack. Is can't quite see who that is. Gets shoved up into the wall, then the 20 gets turned, and just calamity everywhere. 11's going to get involved as well. Let's take another look at that one.
Yeah, unfortunate times there.
All right, just rewound it here for us, and yeah, here comes the bottom line. Watch, keep an eye on that kind of Tyler Reddick S paint scheme middle of your screen here. Let's see a little bit of a checkup on the bottom. Oh, makes contact with that 25 in front of him, then 20 gets turned, and then just everybody's along for the ride, aren't they?
They really are.
Just know where to go, especially for Cox here. Unfortunate run that he had because he was up there a little bit early on in the race, but oh, there's my pick. Preston's in it too. God dang it.
Yeah, they got caught up and just got pushed into the side of that green Toyota. Unfortunate for them that you know, sometimes it's just something you can't control, and you to get out of there. As we are going to have some people diving into the pits during this caution to get some of that bodywork fixed up. Is going to be an interesting time now, as we have only 8 laps left to go, as we are under caution right now.
Just goes to show you how fast things can switch up and happening here in Daytona. We got Mills there running now P2, and his number 2 he made that move right before all heck broke loose there. Wilson's still out in the lead, and I guess, especially, or not including that last lap, I guess the lead might be the safest spot up until that last lap. But super impressive run that we've had up until this. I'm surprised that this is only our first yellow of this second duel.
Yeah, it's with how much, you know, two-line action we've been having and how squirrely some of these cars can get. The fact that we've only had one major incident like this, it just shows to go how much control these racers have over their cars in order to make sure that they aren't, you know, losing a lot of positions or having some unfortunate happenings like what we just saw. You know, just great racing overall from these racers. And now, as we get a look from Mills' car and over the rest of the pack, with everybody going to be bunched back up because of this caution, there is a lot of action that we might be able to see here.
It's all going to start within that restart, and that momentum you get. I know we're only showing 22 laps out of 30, but this is when the games begin, and when they would have begun under green flag. I think I mentioned it earlier in that first heat. You got to start finding your buddies who is willing to work best with you, and maybe the way that your car is currently feeling. Looks like hopefully these lights are going to go out on that iRacing pace car this time. They do. They're treating us well here tonight, Nick. And where's the old, what do you call it? Oh, I'm losing the word. Oh, food that gets delivered up in the booth. What is that? Need a runner up here with, man, yeah, get us some treats here tonight, as well as we've been treated from Moonshiners, VSPEED, everybody involved.
Yeah, no, it's really been an excellent couple of
catering
here.
That's the word. Okay, I'm sorry.
I could go for some catering. Yeah,
bring them up
seriously, as I mean, just some absolutely great couple of duels we've had tonight. Oh, this is only our second incident of the night overall. One in Heat 1. This is the first one in Heat 2. We might see some more as these drivers get bunched back up into these two lines, getting ready to get back to green flag racing. Wilson's going to be in first position. They are going to dictate how this goes, but man, oh man, it could not be tighter up front.
It couldn't, and I know that this is our first race kind of as talent for Moonshiners Racing League. So again, you'll have to kind of bear with us, as, man, these are new names to us. These are new drivers. We're not used to anybody's driving style here tonight, but from what I have seen out of Heat 1's finish, and even their kind of restart that they had coming to that green-white checkered, do not count anybody out, even if they could be further than top 10 right now, as even approaching 7 laps to go. That is more than enough time to get right back in this thing. See Preston there, top of your screen. That fourth car, that right side is pace car once again going to dive for safety, Nick, and let you have the honors.
And away we go. You can see the 18 starting to take off with that 35 right behind them. The 21 on that outside line holding steady. in that third position right now, but with the 35 and the 18 kind of using each other to get back. And it's not the 21, it's the 2, I'm sorry, as they are looking to see if they can't unseat the number 18 of Wilson to get that first position, as they have an excellent run out of that first corner as we go down the back stretch. 2 beautiful lines as we get a treat for that. See the 20 in the back in that green car. Beautiful, beautiful looks through here. That 35 really pushing the 18 and the 18 pulling them along. That 45 now up into third position. What a beautiful run off of that line. The number 2 had nowhere near the speed that those 2 did.
He did not, and these cars right at the pack don't either at the moment as they try to get themselves sorted for 3 wide. The 11 is trying to make up all of these spots after being involved. An unfortunate incident. 3 wide, not able to make anything of it as we are still 2 by 2. We got the whole pack. At the bottom line, I thought prevailed way more on the start, as now you're starting to see a little bit of cars try to force their way into that bottom line, but just a third lane results of it goes to the middle instead. At 11, I believe that's the 32, as well as the 5 of that orange and white Chevy Camaro. 3 wide's not going to help you, unfortunately, catch the leader of Wilson, though, as he probably sees this in his mirror like, okay, you guys keep fighting back there. But also, if you are the 18 and 35, you've got to be careful about getting out too far ahead. Is right as I said it. That train of cars on the bottom lane came right back to the bumper of the 35. May even, if that was last lap, may have even shoved him out of the way. That speed differential there was crazy.
It really was. And now you can see it's come up a little bit as Shade has made their way back up. That 45 was totally out of the pack. And because that caution has really made their way back up into this third position, this is why we say, ladies and gentlemen, you're never out of the race. We called it back then, and we're going to call it now. Just because you're in the back of the pack doesn't mean you can't get to the front if something like that happens. As they were way out, and now they're back into third with a beautiful run behind this 18. And remember, this is all for, top 10 get points, plus you get, this is for the outside line of the seeding for the Daytona 300 on the 19th. So you want to finish as high as possible. And this Wilson is making a name for themselves right now, and going to be one of the ones to look at during that time for the Daytona 300.
Yeah, that's something else that these drivers are kind of keeping in mind, is they will remember names and paint schemes, believe me, and especially as we approach that Daytona 300. Know that they got teammates, but maybe your teammate wrecks out of the race. You got to find somebody to work with here, maybe start to trust somebody you never thought you would have. At 99, back up here in the top 10. Here comes that outside line once again. Oh, but maybe too high for the 5. Is that
got
Matthews?
Really loose there.
That could have been
That orange car
lethal
got
for the pack.
Super loose. And Wilson's dropped into 4th. Norfray's in 1st. Matthews
we're
in
wrecking.
2nd. And another wreck happens as it's the 18. Unfortunately for Wilson, they are pretty much out of this race with 3 laps to go. We are under caution, but that is so unfortunate for the driver that led for 90% of the laps we've had this race.
Nah, you hate to see that, because I thought even earlier, I thought that was the safe spot to be, but apparently not. Going to try and get a look, see what happens there. That was another big one. Another Daytona duel. Second one here is take a look at our instant replay brought to you by VSPEED. Now it's again a little bit hazy down here, but trying to do with what you will. We'll slow it down for you. This is heading into turn 3. Here's when the shuffling happens. The 18 possibly getting turned by, is that the 2? Have to hop on board with the 2 and see what he saw from his perspective. As another big one, nowhere to go.
Yeah, you can see that wheel just bouncing around on that 28 car. Unfortunate timings here for everybody, as
So be riding on board with the I thought it was the 2. We're gonna ride on board with the 2 now, Mills. Mentioned just how fast things happen. Take a look. Boom. Nowhere to go.
They
from
caught
it.
that bumper, yeah.
Yep. I think he was honestly getting pushed into that back bumper, and you can't slam on the brakes and you can't hop out of the gas because you're already getting pushed. So I think that was just an incident of nowhere to go for either driver involved.
Yeah, unfortunate things for those drivers indeed, as we're going to get bunched back up here for the caution with only 3 laps left to go.
Another case
It's
of the
still
old green white checker.
anybody's race.
That it is. That it is. Looks like some pit stops taking place now. Maybe some tires going on. I know that these guys had 2 sets available for him, but man, at a super speedway, I don't really think that should come up in too much handy. Maybe help the actual handling of your car, but at a super speedway, not going to be that big difference in speed like we're used to maybe at a short track or even intermediate. But Norfray, that 35 up there out front, able to I was going to say run away with that, but well, he ran away from the wreck, but gonna have to stick with us through many green white checkers as we have and see who comes away with dual win number 2 and solidifies that outside starting spot for, again, the Daytona 300. You said that is the 19th. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Sweet.
That
okay.
is
Whew, got that one
correct
right.
on the 19th. So
How about we go through while we have a second our starting grid here, or not starting grid, but just who's running in our top spots.
So Caden Norfrey, who was running second for most of the race behind the number 18 car, is now up into first position, starting in 9th. Excellent start for them as now we move into second with Aaron Matthews. Again, started 11th, running second. Some excellent, moving up the pack. Matt Cox started first, back into third. Still a very respectable running for them. Johnny Shade started third, running fourth, had that long run back up to fourth. Another great race for them. Warren Young up 1 position, started sixth, running in fifth, has a very good race for them as well.
Yeah.
Jamison Middlemiss started 12th, up 6 positions into sixth. I mean, all of these top racers in this heat so far have had an excellent time for themselves in this race, as we're going to get bunched up once again to get ready for this restart.
All right, drivers, pull those belt tights one more time. Make sure those wrists are nice and popped because, man, you could be eating a wall here in just a couple seconds' time. It all happens so fast, especially upon the high banks at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. One more time before we get this thing kicked off, I'd like to appreciate everybody joining us here on coverage of VSPEED, of Moonshiners Racing League. Been Sean, Stam, Nick up in the booth. Oh boy, lights are out on the pace car, going to come down at that back stretch at, 60 miles per hour for hopefully the last time tonight. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and man, best of luck again if you're running any of those Daytona 500s within iRacing, or maybe even place in a little friendly wager this Sunday on Real Life 500. Love to know who you got in the YouTube chat on the 500, as well as the old duel number 2. Who do you have? 35, Norfrey, Matthews 5, or is it somebody a little bit further in the pack like Middlemiss, Purier, King, or Ruff, starting 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th? Is all momentum based. This is what it all has come down to. This is what we have all been waiting for, matter of fact. Green, white, checkered coming up live. World Center of Racing. Is that pace car going to dive for safety? Hopefully the last time tonight. Nick, who do you like here? Do you like maybe somebody in that top row, or are we looking a couple rows back?
I think this top row, as we see the safety car dive into the pits and everybody starts to pick up speed, getting ready to go. I'm liking this one. They've run in second. They've had the inside line on the restarts have usually had a pretty good time for this, as we are racing to coming down this stretch here. Matthews taking up first position. Norfray just right behind them on that inside line. It is too close to call still, with only 2 laps left here at the Daytona International Speedway. A good bump here and push from the 32 for the 34, as the same for the high line, the 45 of Shade, really pushing Matthews to get into that first position as Norfray has backed off, but Matthews having a great line for themselves. It's all going to come down to as we go 4 wide almost in this turn at the start of it. 3 wide is for sure as that exit takes that lower side. The 35 of Norfray still trying to make some ground up on Matthews, who have had such a good run through here to start off with just one lap left here. This is for all of the marbles in this heat. Where will these racers leave off? It's Matthews, Shade, Norfray, Cox, then Young, Middle Miss, and Puryear are your top 7 drivers as they exit that first turn.
Shade coming out of nowhere, like his name may represent. That caution ended up saving him. Got Shade at Norfray, Cox running that top 3, and then Middle Miss. Gallimore, excuse me, there. As now here comes the train. This is the momentum working. All coming out of turn 4. Do you block high? Do you block low? Matthews gonna block low one more time, going to make the block work. Matthews, congratulations on Victor. Duel number 2 going to start the Daytona 300 on the outside row. Congratulations, Matthews, Shade, Norfray, those top 3 spots, and maybe going to try and get some driver interviews for us today. What a race. What 2 races. What duels we had. This is Speed Weeks. This is Daytona Duels. I see why they have such cool names like this now. Congratulations, Matthews. You are starting outside 19th, the Daytona 300. We get those race results scrolling across your screen now. Matthews, Davis, Shade, Mullins, Norfray, Moore, Cox, Taylor, and Gallimore. Oh, going to be that top 10. Appreciate everybody for joining again, and with a great time here at Daytona World Center of Racing, as this is just going to set up that Daytona 300, just a couple days time. Nick, you have anything while I try and see if we're doing interviews today or tonight?
Just a couple of excellent heat races that really gave us a great shot at what that looked like. And honestly, like we couldn't have asked for any better racing here tonight, as we saw excellent wheel-to-wheel action, some great control over these cars, and then, you know, some crazy finishes to end off the night in both of these heats. So honestly, Sean, it's been a whirlwind of an amazing night here at the Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, we're gonna get a look at the white flag coming to. This is the whole white flag lap here. So we're gonna break this down for you. As I mean, the 3 wide at the back of the pack, you're not going to improve your position there any. And then these drivers kind of get to realize, and all right, hey, we got to get going if we want to make something happen. Look at how fast the bottom line forms up, Nick.
Yeah, it's super fast, and they did such a good job of it too. You know, they formed up, they were really able to push hard and really made a good run of it down towards the end of the race.
Let's see if we can see what happens between these top cars. Man, Matthews, you can see he went high here out of the exit of 4 when he saw the 20, I believe that is, and then just he was clear to make the block down the inside. So I mean, might as well again, and ended up coming away with the win, not getting spun or anything there. Just, and that's kind of surprising because hey, these cars are fully reset. It's not like the real Daytona duels where you got to kind of try and keep your car in one piece, but that just goes to show just how confident these guys are racing one another. Great sportsmanship shown throughout the whole field, and this has been a great time up in the booth tonight with you, Nick.
It's always a pleasure to be up in the booth with you, Sean. Always a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. Going to shout out our sponsors one more time, get their commercials rolling before we get out of here. One more time, this has been VSPEED Production. Sean, Stam, Nick up here in the booth. Got Moonshiners, And appreciate you guys for putting this all on here tonight. Got the race sponsor, of course, the Duels at Daytona, DB Builders. Appreciate them coming out here tonight and get those commercials started for you again. Thanks for sticking with us here. VSPEED Production. Sean Stamps signing off here tonight.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.